Now, it's normally a pretty good day when you get a phone call from Ducati, but even more so when that phone call is to invite you out to Bologna to their HQ to find out how they go about making the new 899 and 1199 Panigale. So the day started off with a quick tour around the factory, which was pretty impressive. And after that, we were then given the opportunity to meet the man who designed the Panigale, Fabro. Thank you for letting us come in today. Now, the Panigale, what a machine. It is beautiful. You designed that. When Ducati came to you and said, oh, we need a new superbike, how did you start off? Because it's so different and revolutionary.
Okay, if we talk about the Panigale, I start thinking of the machine, as you mentioned, very early, because we were at the production line of the 1098 before the launch of the 1098, and I was looking at the bike and I was not very satisfied 100% with the model. So I already started thinking of the future, about the future.
Already, wow.
So we as a Ducati designer since 1999, I already knew all the items, all the very particular thing that the 916 says, and all the philosophy and let's say all the particular things on the GP, Desmo 16. So we were trying to figure out to combine the things we had in the past, thinking of the future, combine the MotoGP and the 916 items. Don't take care about things that doesn't work. So everything is very minimal, very compact. The goal was to design a kind of machinery instead of a beautiful sculpture. So we wanted to design a very race-related motorcycle.
So here it is, the 1199 Panigale, and please talk us through some of your innovations.
Okay, so go back to the concept that we wanted to have a very slim and compact motorcycle. So it was very strategic, let's say, how we thought about the rear suspension.
Yeah.
A lot of people ask why we moved the suspension in this, let's say, kind of fancy position.
Yeah.
But that was very useful and strategic to us in order to have a very slim and compact tailpiece and rear subframe.
Yeah.
Because otherwise, if the spring were in the, let's say, traditional position, we were in a trouble with the structure itself.
Yeah.
But also to have a more room, a more possibility to develop the pipe,
yes,
the pipe route, and also because we wanted to have a very compact exhaust, then a classical shock would be a very a big problem.
Yeah, it'd be in the way, definitely.
Yeah, you can say that the front cowling, the front fairing is very small, and we know that racing motorcycles have a very big cowling in order to protect that. We were very fascinated about 250 GP bikes, and so a very small, compact, very narrow shape
very
of the
small profile. If you mean, yeah.
So we forgot a little bit about the purpose and a racetrack, a race purpose.
Yeah.
So. And so we went to a very compact fairing.
Finally, it was time to head down to the factory floor to see where they actually make the bikes and put them together. And the area where they make the Panigales is, well, rather special, and here's why. Now, what makes the Panigale production area a little bit different and rather special is that instead of a traditional production line where you have the engine moving along a series of stations with one person working on each individual bit, they do it rather differently. They've adopted a Japanese philosophy where one person manages the whole process of building the engine from start to finish. Now, one of the coolest things, and probably something that surprised me the most, was the fact that the engine actually turns up in a box with all the individual parts, screws and bolts in a specific place. And my OCD brain loves this, not only because it is incredibly tidy and quite easy to manage by the looks of it, but also it means if you get to the end of the process and you have some parts left over, well, you've done something wrong. So the way this process works is that each technician actually digitally signs in for each engine, and he is then responsible for the build of that engine from the complete process from start to finish. But it's not just the engine and the technician that are tracked digitally. Every single measurement and specific thing on this engine is. For instance, they have Bluetooth torque wrenches that not only allow the worker to see when they found the optimum torque setting for each nut and bolt when it's already pre-programmed in, but also allows the guy sitting in an office to track it all to make sure it's all within tolerances. So the first things to be put together are the pistons, and then it's the clutch, the gearbox, the alternator, and pretty much everything else that goes into an engine, right up to the engine casing. So when the engine comes to the end of the line, and if there are no screws or bolts or any parts left over in the box, it's moved on to the next section where it's tested. And so they just attach the engine to a winch, it gets put onto a conveyor belt and then moves to a completely different part of the factory. Now, each engine to build from start to finish takes exactly 120 minutes, unless, of course, something goes wrong and they have to halt the production line. And once it has been tested and verified to be working absolutely fine, it goes on to a more traditional production line where the rest of the bike is put together. While we're there, we're also very lucky because it's not just the normal Panigales that they make on this production line. Oh no, as you can tell from some of the magnesium coating on this one, they also make the Superleggeras there. About, I believe, one a day for the 500 limited run that they're doing. So on the next production line, in goes all the major components you're familiar with on a bike. For instance, the brakes, suspension, exhaust, wheels, switchgear, and even the tyres. So now you have what pretty much looks like a finished bike. It's time to add the fuel, oil, all the hydraulic fluid and liquids, and then give it to possibly the guy who's got the best job in the world. He literally sits on Ducatis all day riding them. Yep, he's the man who has to test them. Now, he goes through a steady process of obviously making sure each gear engages, goes through the rev range, and generally just seems to have a lot of fun, although he might be a bit hard of hearing after doing it for so many Panigales. So how long does the whole process take to build a Panigale? Well, the engine takes 120 minutes, everything else takes about 170 minutes, so in total, in just under 5 hours, you have taken what was just simply a collection of nuts, bolts and parts and turned it into a fully fledged sports bike. The Ducati factory is quite possibly the coolest factory in the world, and also most of the workers look more like models than actual mechanics. Plus, you know you're in Italy because even the vending machines are cool. And when the workers need to actually, I don't know, redo their quiffs and touch up their makeup so they can head back on the catwalk, they even have their very own Ducati cafe to relax in. And yes, Ducati even make their own sugar. Now, something Ducati are very keen on is educating the future generations in not only bike engineering, but in physics and maths and things as well. And something they've set up is kind of like a little science museum in the Ducati factory where schools come along on tours and the children are encouraged to not only find out about how bikes are made and the engineering behind it, but also allowed to play and fiddle with engines and things like that to make it a little bit more exciting. And you'll also catch loads of these kids walking around the museum, which has to be one of the coolest places in the factory. Now, what I love about the museum as well is it showcases Ducati's full history, from a company that used to make tiny little cameras and automated calculators through to a company that has become one of the most prestigious bike marques on the planet. And of course, there are one or two nice bikes there as well. Everything from Ducati's first ever engine, which was something you attached to a push bike, believe it or not, right the way through to Rossi's GP13 from last year. And there's so much racing history on display, like Paul Smart's Imola-winning 750 racer or Mike Howard's 1978 TT winning bike. Plus, you've also got the championship-winning bikes in there from Checker, Foggy, Toseland, Hodgson, and every race win from every category that Ducati have actually won and entered is listed on the walls. Now, obviously, we've been very lucky to have pretty much unlimited access to the factory this morning for our factory visit and tour. But there's one door in the Ducati headquarters which is always shut to mere mortals, and that is the door to Ducati Corsa, the racing division. But luckily, I've managed to blag a pass. Check this out. Hi, Julian.
Hello, Luke. How are you doing?
Very well. Thank you so much for having me.
Come on into the Ducati Corsa corridor, basically, and that's as far as you're going to go.
Is this it?
This is it, more or less.
Because it's all secret everywhere now, isn't it?
Well, more or less, yeah.
Yeah, there's wizards and stuff making magic things.
We have a few offices here on the left and right. There are a few meetings going on, obviously.
Can we go in there?
No, not that one. No. Sorry about that. No. And there's a electronic systems meeting going on here. And of course, there's this room at the general manager, Mr. Luigi Dall'Igna, who came on board this year. That's right. Yeah. And there we go.
Look at that, right on cue. Can't film him.
And then we have offices for marketing and communication. Let's not forget, of course, the Ducati MotoGP project manager's office here. So all sorts of things going on at the moment.
Now, it would be a bit rubbish of us if we went all the way to Ducati HQ in Bologna and didn't have a chat, or at least try and hunt down Paolo Ciabatti, the head of the Ducati Corsa Racing division. And I managed to grab him for a really exclusive little chat after they'd returned from the Circuit of the Americas in Austin. Paolo, first up, congratulations for the result of the Circuit of Americas. Obviously, first podium since 2012. How satisfying was that?
Well, actually, we were very happy that we have been going through a few difficult years in racing at Ducati. So for us, it's the sign that the work we've been doing is now paying back.
This GP14 has shown a lot more potential early on than, as you say, than in the last few years.
Yeah, this bike actually was basically designed last year on the experience of a GP13, and when Gigi Dall'Igna joined in November, obviously the project was already almost finished, established, but Gigi brought some ideas, some new features which have been included in the bike, and already in the winter testing in Sepang 1, Sepang 2 and Phillip Island, we are quite happy about the results.
You've got a new rider this year with Cal Crutchlow. I think it was evidence that Dovi has definitely learned to ride the bike. And how do you think Cal will do riding the new bike?
I think Cal will do good. Obviously, the Ducati is a different bike, and I think it's easier for a rider like Dovi, who has been riding a non-competitive Ducati last year, to feel the improvements of a GP14. We're confident he will be there fighting with Dovi and Iannone, and hopefully even with the other guys which are ahead of us at the moment very soon.
Paolo, thank you so much for your time today. I know how busy you are. We really appreciate you letting us into the Hello Ducati Corsa, but we know we're not allowed to film anything, anywhere. None of the meetings, none of the offices. It's all secret, isn't it?
Well, it's an area where a lot of things are going on also, so I hope you understand and you appreciate that it's a kind of secret area, and we want to keep it as confidential as possible.
So no taking photos and sending them to Livio? Super.
No, well, maybe not.
Now, probably the most asked question I had when people found out we were going to Ducati HQ in Bologna was, can you find out any information on the much-rumoured Ducati Scrambler, or even get some pics? Now, we searched high and low in the factory and asked everyone we saw, and we didn't find anything. But in the best tradition of biking media, we got our team of crack expert graphic designers to knock up what we think it might look like. Maybe. Kinda.